Have you ever seen something move in the corner of your eye, only to realize it was watching you back? Jasmine did, and what happened next will make you think twice about turning off the lights. It started like any other quiet evening for Jasmine. She just moved into a small studio apartment downtown, a place with old-world charm and creaky wooden floors. But on her first night alone, something strange happened that she can't explain. After unpacking for hours, Jasmine decided to call it a night. She turned off the lights, leaving the faint glow of the city through her window to guide her to the couch. But as she settled in, she noticed a shadow on the far wall, long and narrow, stretching unnaturally high. At first, she thought it was hers, distorted by the moonlight filtering through the blinds. She waved her hand, expecting the shadow to mimic her movement. It didn't. Instead, it froze for a moment, then shifted, twisting its head like it was studying her. Her heart skipped. Shadows don't move on their own, she thought. She grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight, sweeping it across the wall. The shadow vanished, but when she turned off the flashlight, it was back closer this time. Jasmine sat frozen, her mind racing through rational explanations. Maybe it was just a trick of the light? But deep down, she knew better. The shadow didn't just linger. It seemed to breathe, its edges pulsating faintly like it was alive. She decided to test it again. Slowly, she raised her hand, and the shadow hesitated before copying her. But as she moved her hand down, the shadow did something that made her blood run cold. It raised its other hand instead. A low creaking sound came from the floorboards behind her. She whipped around, shining the flashlight in every direction. The room was empty. Still, the feeling of being watched wouldn't leave her. Jasmine's eyes darted to the mirror above her dresser. There it was again, not on the wall this time, but inside the glass. The shadow was clearer now, its elongated limbs and hollow face pressed against the surface, as though trapped within the reflection. As panic set in, Jasmine grabbed a blanket and threw it over the mirror, covering the eerie figure. But the moment she did, she felt cold breath against her neck. "You shouldn't have done that," a voice whispered, low and raspy. Jasmine bolted for the door, yanking it open and stumbling into the hallway. But as she looked back into her apartment, her breath caught. The shadow had emerged from the mirror and stood in the middle of the room. Its arms stretched wide like it was inviting her back. Its head tilted, and then it grinned, a twisted, impossible smile. The lights in the hallway began to flicker. One by one they went out, plunging the space into darkness. Jasmine ran, her bare feet slapping against the cold tile as she made her way to the stairs. But no matter how fast she moved, she could feel it behind her, the weight of its gaze, the sound of its footsteps matching hers. She burst out onto the street, gasping for air, and turned back to look at the building. Her apartment window glowed faintly, the shadow standing behind the glass, watching her. Jasmine never returned to that apartment. She left the city the next day, abandoning everything she owned. But even now, she avoids mirrors and refuses to be alone in dark rooms. Because every so often, when the light is just right, she swears she can see it, the shadow waiting patiently in the corners, for her to let her guard down. Have you ever felt like something was watching you in the dark? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales that will make you question what's lurking in the shadows.